This is Michael Popok, Legal AF After Dark. Georgia is not to be forgotten as we discuss Donald Trump's trials, and including upcoming ones. There's some developments there with reporting on the prosecutor, Fani Willis, and who she's going to cut a deal with next. And is Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and Mark Meadows even part of her consideration as to who she might cut a deal with? Karen Friedman Agnifilo and I on a most recent edition of Legal AF podcast, only here on the MeidasTouch YouTube channel, just discussed it and broke it down for you, and here's a clip from that segment. Let's get right into it. Let's kick it off with something. I'll frame it, turn it right over to you. You said, and I'll paraphrase, I'm never good at quoting, 3 or 4 episodes ago, no way Fani Willis, right? Prosecutor to prosecutor, no way. She's going to offer a plea deal to the following 3 people, if I remember correctly. Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and I think you said Meadows. Yes. So if you're playing Karen Friedman Agnifilo bingo, okay, you can now yell out bingo, because that is the new reporting about the Fani Willis and who she is and who she is not, more to the point, going to offer a plea deal to. Take it from there, Karen.
Yeah, so look, this wasn't something that anybody who's a former prosecutor could make that same guess. So it wasn't that hard to kind of see that that's where they're going. And the reason is because when we as prosecutors, they, whatever, when we are deciding who to make a deal with, you typically don't flip down, you flip up. And what that means is there's a hierarchy when you are prosecuting a group of people typically, right? There's typically, like, if you think of the mafia or a violent gang or any other sort of criminal enterprise, which she is prosecuting under the theory of RICO, which has to do with criminal enterprises, there's a hierarchy and a structure. And you've got people at varying levels of culpability, and whoever the upper echelons, the top people are, the ones that you're really looking to potentially convict and hold responsible. And in this particular case in Georgia, it really looks like those are the ones that are most culpable. And so I think that it makes sense that that this is where we are and how we got here. I also think she could have drawn the line with some of the lawyers as well. I think Eastman and Chesborough, for example, could have been or could be on that list as well, because they're the enablers, the architects, whatever you want to call them, of this entire scheme to defraud the voters of Georgia of their rightful electors. And so I could see also them being on the list, but I think the reason she's deciding to get the lawyers out of the case, which is what so far it seems like she has done, is to try to neutralize any advice of counsel defense and get them to cooperate, because Trump has signaled that that's going to be one of his main defense, that, look, I was just relying on my lawyers, my really smart lawyers, they came out and they told me that this was okay, and that's going to be one of the defenses, right? I'm not a lawyer. How was I supposed to know? I rely on lawyers to tell me what to do, just like he's just typical of what he's doing in his civil fraud case in New York, right? I relied on the accountants. Like he never wants to take responsibility for anything and always blames somebody else. So the way this all seems to come out. So the Guardian, a reporter, Hugo Lowell, is the one who broke this story. He's somebody who is a pretty good, I think a really good reporter, and he broke the story that she's not making offers to Trump, Meadows, and Giuliani. And how did he figure it out, or how did people figure this out, other than just it makes sense? And I think what I'm gleaning from the reporting is, there was a report by John Eastman. There was a request from John Eastman, one of Trump's former lawyers, who asked the judge, McAfee, to do this kind of strange, divide up the case between two groups, let Trump go by himself and let everybody else go in two separate groups. And, this way Trump can go at some other future time. He's busy running for office and he needs to do that. So let's not worry about him and worry about security from the Secret Service, et cetera. I want my trial to end before, I want it to be completed in 2024. I don't want it to go into 2025 the way Fani Willis has suggested, because she asked for an August of 2024 trial date. And she said it'll go into 2024. So Eastman said, look, I don't want that. I want to go sooner. And the reason I think that's significant is Fani Willis said to the judge when she said, look, judge, I want an August trial date. And anyone who has gotten an offer, I'm going to give them a deadline of June 21st to take this offer or not. Because think about, anyone can plead guilty at any time in a criminal case, right? A defendant usually pleads not guilty, and then at some point they can decide to either plead guilty or go to trial. Every defendant has that right. But whether or not to offer a plea or a deal or cooperation is 100% in the control of the prosecutor. The prosecutor decides by themselves 100% whether or not they're going to reduce the charge for nothing or for an exchange for something. And what Fani Willis is saying, anyone who I've given a plea offer to, you have until June 21st to accept it. After that, it's plea to the charge or go to trial. And she wants to know, who are her witnesses going to be? Who's she going to trial against with all the defense? I think there's 14 people left. She's going to want, or 15 people left right now. They'd have to at least probably have two trials but she's going to try to winnow it down further. And she said, and what Eastman said was, look, let's make all those dates even sooner, right? Let's move all those dates forward even more, not June 21st. Let's make it even shorter so that we can all go to trial, et cetera. And I think that little kind of signal of him wanting to do this and moving the plea deadlines different, et cetera, I think that's how we know who got offers and who didn't. Because look, there's probably some kind of joint defense discussion. The defense attorneys are talking amongst themselves. And I'm sure that they said, hey, did you get an offer? Did you get an offer? Like, they're sharing that information about who got what. And it's looking like Meadows, Trump, and Giuliani's lawyers had to sit there silently and be like, oh, we didn't get an offer. And that's how I think this is coming out. That's, again, this is me gleaning and reading tea leaves. Let's just be clear. But I think just given everything that's going on there, I think that's where that is coming from. And just one more thing before I turn it over to you. I still find Meadows to be the biggest head scratcher of all, because I don't understand how he can both be at the same time somebody who's so seriously responsible that he's not even going to get a plea offer and it's plea to the charge and we're going to trial against in Georgia. And he's not even an unindicted co-conspirator in Jack Smith's case. It's just, to me, like, if you would think that Jack Smith would view him as seriously or as important or as, he's at least an unindicted co-conspirator, because it doesn't look like he's cooperating. So I don't know. That's still the head scratcher for me, but that's my reading the tea leaves of everything that's kind of going on in Georgia.
With Meadows, I agree with you with the mismatch. I think it's a timing issue. I think at the time they brought the indictment, Meadows, they still held out hope that Meadows would cooperate even more than he was already cooperating to the limited immunity deal that it looks like he had. And then they have decided for various reasons since then not to do what they did in Mar-a-Lago, which is to bring a superseding indictment, which may have captured, no pun intended, caught Meadows. But because of things that you've actually said, we've said in past episodes of Legal AF, where they don't want to have anything on their side delaying the March date. They don't want to F with, to paraphrase the title of our show, they didn't want to F with the indictment and let Donald Trump just shoot at that one and not kind of raise the issue. So I think it's more of a timing issue. And the reporting is that it's also Fani Willis signaling to everybody else who she'd like to get to settle, if you're waiting around and you think I'm going to settle out this case and plea out this case at the top, and you're going to wait till the very end, don't do that, because I'm not going to plead this case out. I'm going to try this case in the summer against these 3 guys and whoever else is left. So you're running out of time, folks, as on your flip up metaphor, to come in and talk to me. And then the other thing I'll hit here briefly is that Ken Chesbro, speaking of attorneys, that Fani Willis has worked hard to kind of get out of the way and have them cooperate. Ken Chesbro, the architect of the fake elector scheme, or what I call one of the midwives giving birth to this scheme, along with John Eastman, constitutional half scholar, is a convicted felon now because he pled guilty to 1 felony count in Georgia, but is fully cooperating. Interestingly, of all of the videos that were released to the media of the proffer, the cooperating testimony of Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, and Chesbro, the only one that didn't come out was Chesbro. So you got to think, I mean, there was already bad stuff against Donald Trump in those, and I know that Misty Hampton, the Coffee County election supervisor's lawyer, is the one that admitted that he leaked all of the videos. Yeah, right. He like, I got a confession to make, Your Honor, before you move on to the next person on the Zoom. I did it. We never could figure out why, but he didn't do. We were like, God, there's bad stuff in there against Trump. Every one of them says something really bad against Donald Trump. Why would he think he'd want that released? But he didn't release Chesbro. So you got to think Chesbro's got to be really bad. And he now has asked for permission because he is a convicted felon that is subject to the court's control under conditions of release. And he's asked Judge McAfee to give him a hall pass to go visit other states and the feds. This isn't a class trip, everybody. He's not going to Washington to go to the Smithsonian or check out the new museum. He's going to talk to Jack Smith. He didn't say it in his papers, and the judge was like, where do I sign? 1 line, granted. And now he's going on a whistle-stop tour to Nevada, Arizona, to go talk to the attorney generals there about their fake elector investigations and his role in it, dumping on Donald Trump all along the way, and talking to the feds, talking to Jack Smith. We always said, and we said it certainly on the midweek edition, Karen, that the people that were cooperating with Fani Willis are going to have their ticket punched because they're going to have to cooperate with Jack Smith. For many, many reasons. They've already proffered and they have a duty to tell the truth. And so the first one that looks like who needs to ask permission because he's a felon, Sidney Powell pled guilty to a misdemeanor. Jenna Ellis was a misdemeanor too, right, Karen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yes.
I think the only felon is Chesbro.
And yes. So
he probably had the greater conditions that had to be modified in order to go do that. For all we know, Powell went too. Sidney Powell went too, for all we know. We just don't know that. Well, there's an example of what we do twice a week on the MeidasTouch YouTube channel. It's the only place we do it, exclusively there. Help them. Free subscribe. It's a grassroots independent media network without outside investors. You're what we need to keep things going with a free subscription. Then follow Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman Agnifilo. Saturdays with Ben Meisalas. And then you can pick it up on audio podcast platforms of your choice. So until my next hot take, till my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.